coming to SRFTI and then doing this workshop for us. It's a pleasure actually for us to have you over here, as you know, you're such a senior person and have been working in this field for so long. I'll start from the beginning when you become a sound recordist, because you actually started your journey as a, your professionally was a journalist before, right?
Yeah.
So you were working at the Indian Express and then
editing an arts page weekly.
Yeah.
So I was connected to the arts in some peripheral way.
Yeah. But before that, have you studied science?
I did maths.
Ah, you did maths.
I did a 3-year course in maths. BA Maths.
Yeah. And then you were doing...
I joined the newspaper straight off
yeah.
without the break, and then once I joined, I was getting into more and more science related things, because the editor found that I could write better about science than anybody else in the staff. Okay. So I was, for instance, he also was overestimating my knowledge. He sent me off to interview a very famous nuclear physicist called Niels Bohr.
Ah, Niels Bohr, okay. You have seen Niels Bohr?
Yeah, I spent 2 hours with him.
Okay.
Because master said, go and meet him, so I went.
Oh, he came to India?
He came to India, he was teaching in MATLAB, I think it was called, in Madras. That's the Institute of Mathematical Sciences. Okay. And he was going to teach there. And master sent me off to him. And I, being only 21, I was quite ready to do anything. And Niels Bohr took one look at me and said, this guy doesn't know any nuclear physics. So he spent 2 hours with me teaching me nuclear physics.
Wow.
Doesn't happen to too many people.
When was it? In 1970s?
This was 68.
68, okay.
So he spent a couple of hours telling me what is all the basics of nuclear physics, like symmetries and symmetry break. All those things he went through without any, he just said shut the door, and we sat down and he taught me physics. No. You don't get much chances like that. So,
wow.
And after that, of course, I was supposed to do all the science stories, because he meets Niels Bohr and spends 2 hours with him.
Of course. You got your certificate.
That is my certificate.
Yeah.
So, I was writing about, you must remember, space science is just beginning, and I was writing about a lot of space science, because I said that's where it is. And one result of that was, when man landed on the moon, I published 5 continuous editions of the paper, single-handed, because I didn't want anybody to interfere. So when Neil Armstrong came to Delhi, I got an invitation to have lunch with him.
Oh.
So I was basically been turned into a science person. Though I enjoyed doing other, and I was editing an arts page with this friend of mine called Rani in the beginning. Then she went off to Film Institute. So between arts and science. Yeah. And so when I decided that I didn't want to work anymore, mainly because of Ms. Gandhi.
Emergency.
I resigned. And then I came to Delhi because I had some friends. And one friend introduced me to Pradeep Krishnan, who was then a very unhappy history professor at Ramjas College. But we had one common thing, we both gambled all night. We used to sit and gamble. And he got an offer to make science films. He wanted to make films, but he didn't know about science. So he said, come and join, you do the science part. So the two started working together. That's how I got into film. And then we worked for about 2-3 years, working day and night, because there were only 2 of us, and we make 1 film every fortnight. It's a very difficult job. And we decided to quit. And then Pradeep said, you do the sound and I'll do the picture. And that's how I became a sound recordist. Oh. I was doing sound, but not officially. But Pradeep said, when we were getting projects as a pair, you would do the camera work and I would do the sound. Yeah. Then, of course, he got this NDFC grant to make a feature film. NFDC, yeah. Feature film. He made that Masi Sahib. That was the film for which he got the money. Yeah. And I didn't want to get into the whole film industry business. And in the meantime, Nazir Jarrah's boy and I became friends, and he wanted me to come and work in the archives. He was going to set up an archives.
But when you were working with Pradeep Krishnan, I think you also made Parabola, right? That,
I made a parabolic reflector because
Yeah.
Pradeep and I made a couple of films on bird sound, for which I needed a parabolic reflector. So I figured out how to make one. I sat with the Sardarji and made it.
So how did you make it?
We took an aluminum sheet, 1 meter square,
Okay.
and you take a sand pit and hammer it into shape.
Ah, okay.
And you take a cardboard parabolic curve and keep putting it to see if it's getting to the right shape. And surprisingly, it takes time and you go deaf because you're hammering a piece of metal.
Yeah.
But at the end of it, you have a parabola. Then we mounted an MD421 Sennheiser
Yeah.
in the middle, and I did some very nice recordings with it. Only none of them are there. I recorded Saras, the crane,
Yeah.
from about 1 kilometer away.
Wow.
Because it's a very loud bird, but the big problem with this parabola, aluminum parabola, was if any bird went out of frame, I had to put it down, see where is it, and aim again, because it's completely opaque. My later ones were all acrylic, so I could see through the thing. I made about half a dozen variations,
Okay.
and the smallest I made was actually took a lampshade, one of those reflectors, film reflectors,
Yeah.
put the mic in it, and I recorded with it.
Okay.
You can do it.
Oh, with a film reflector.
You see, it doesn't have low frequencies, but mid and high it picks up very well, and it's very convenient to have something that. I have recorded after I got the parabolic. I didn't just do wildlife and nature. I recorded an old lady again in Rajasthan. Yeah, there was no way I could put a mic on her. She would have run if you saw me coming with a mic. So I did it with a parabolic reflector from a distance. Even that she was giggling away because of what is all this happening kind of thing.
Yeah.
But at least she didn't run away. So one could do, I used it for many kinds of things. Like I did a recording of one very rich man who owns a couple of steel mills. He wanted to be recorded in front of his rolling mill. And rolling mills are extremely noisy.
Loud, yeah.
So I used a parabolic reflector and held it close to him and recorded. I managed to get some sound for him. For them, it didn't matter what it sounded like. In fact, the problem there was the person who was interviewing didn't know what he was saying. I could hear it because I was wearing headphones.
Yeah.
So I had to stop and tell him that is what he said, and they would do the next class. But they got a recording. So it became, I was always playing around with recording rather than being a recordist. And I was building mics even before I became a recordist.
Oh.
Even in Madras. I would buy this 14 rupee dynamic microphone capsule and build a mic around it. You get fairly okay sound with it.
Oh.
14 rupees my mic was.
But why you were making it?
Because I wanted to record I was friends with this artist in Cholamandal, artist village.
Okay. Yeah.
And we wanted to have some music performed, live performance. To do live performance, you need a mic. To have a mic, you need money, which we did not have. So I built it. And I had built a loudspeaker to which we could connect. And I had various theoretical reasons. I put the loudspeaker behind the performer, not in front, so that you could put levels low. You don't have to amplify it a lot.
Yes.
And this whole thing of early sound and late sound. It's difficult to explain to others, but with the artists I didn't have to explain. They left it to me to do what I want.
Yeah.
And I had a couple of very good performances. We didn't record, we have no recorders. But we had performances with homemade mics and a homemade loudspeaker and an amp. I was building a lot of electronics. I built a stereo amplifier for S.G. Vasudev in the 60s into a bamboo. The whole thing was built in. So one was fiddling around. So when I came to Delhi, the first thing you discover is there's very little thought about what you want to do in sound. In fact, where we were first working, we didn't have to do sound. We had to do sound only as a example for, we made this film and wrote a script. and we read the script, record it, and these two big shots from Doordarshan would come and listen to it with the sound, approximate thing, not exact, and approve it. And then of course they forgot about the recording, because they would distribute the written script to the stations to translate into local languages. So my sound wasn't really important. But nevertheless, it was being done so badly, and we had such good equipment. I had never seen in Agra before that. And I wanted to be able, so I started recording mainly because the machines were there and the opportunity was there.
Yeah.
And those guys didn't really care.
But then so after that you were working at ARC and you started ARC.
Was the next stage, because after that, for at least 2 years, Pradeep and I were working as independent sound and camera together or not. And then of course Pradeep was making this film, so there's no longer any question of working with him. That is when Nazir asked me to join the archives, and we went off both to United States, went to Los Angeles for a month, and bought all the equipment and came back and set it up. And I got Shubha Chaudhary, who I knew.
So this started in 70s, right, or 80s?
We started in 82.
82. So 82 you started ARC, and then this whole idea of why you wanted to build an Ambisonic then, because you were an artist.
No, Ambisonic was a different thing. I was into Ambisonics all the way from 77.
Okay.
Because that is when the first articles by Jerson, Michael Jerson wrote a series of articles on multi-system Ambisonic. The word Ambisonic was invented by him. And I was reading about him in Wireless World, Studio Sound and places like that, and it looked like a very good idea. Only thing is, at that point, no way I could do it. I was hanging on to the idea, and when I could was in 96 or so, when the Zoom came out.
Oh, okay.
See, Zoom suddenly allowed me to put a 4-channel recording system on it.
So what Zoom was that?
Zoom H2, but not H2N.
Yeah, okay.
The problem with H2 is the body is very much smaller.
Yeah, I remember.
So
that,
I put a barrel and put the mic about 30 centimeters from this thing. In fact, it is more useful for measurement. And I sent one version to Angelo Farina saying, what do you think? He was so thrilled, because our problem had always been getting a low-cost, easy-to-replicate Ambisonic system, and there is one right there costing $500, including the mic. Of course, I had no calibration system. So Angelo sat with another fairly big science audio guy. The two of them devised a way of calibrating the mic. That work was done by them, and he asked me to make him 10 mics. So my first Brahma mics were made for him.
So what kind of capsules you were using then?
Same
back
capsules,
in 90s?
See, 14 mm is a very good size.
Okay, but was it easily available in 96?
No, I got them from America.
Okay.
Because there was this guy selling microphone capsules to hobbyists called James Strong or something. He's still there. And he was buying from China he has a big China business. He was buying these capsules and selling them.
Oh.
At a unit, you could buy even one. So I bought about 40 capsules and made 10 mics and shipped them off to Parma. They are still using those mics.
How you built the holder of the mic?
In the beginning, it's a big problem. I made it with I cut 4 hexagonal nut-like shapes and glued them together and put the capsules in it.
Oh, okay.
But then, of course, Shapeways came out.
Who?
Shapeways.
Shapeways.
And then I could 3D print that part.
That's when, the early 2000.
Huh?
Early 2000.
Early 2000. So then I switched to because Shapeways is so reliable. What I was doing was not exactly very reliable. I was gluing them and holding them in place till they dried. Got a lot of glue on my hands. But it worked. Out of the 10, one didn't work because the capsules came off. But
so what was the material that you
brass.
Oh, you were using brass for the holder.
Okay. Because it's easier to cut. I got it cut on a lathe into a nut-shaped thing with a circular hole, and the nut-shaped things were glued together into a hexagon.
Yeah. But what kind of, I mean, wasn't it affecting the performance of the microphone for?
Not very much, because
Okay.
the mics were sticking out anyway.
Ah, okay.
So then of course shapeways came, and it's so easy to do.
So the 5.3 that we have, it's made by that shapeways thing, and it's a
By then I was already
it's
doing
all
shapeways.
plastic.
Huh?
It's all
nylon.
Nylon.
It's a good tough plastic.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
had it, now the
Yeah, it looks quite bold actually.
Yeah.
So you still use the same thing?
Yeah, use the same. You're getting them now here. And carbon fiber. You're getting all kinds of material now. But I still go to shapeways because it's so reliable. Costs more. The cost is only shipping and customs. Otherwise, they are not very much more expensive than others.
Because in 90s, even 90s or early 20s, when you were making an ambisonic mics, I'm sure that it was also very new in India as well to other.
No, it's still very new in India,
it
I
is.
suspect.
That's true. It is still. But
Because
saying,
I could
what
never
kind of interest you got from the?
See, for instance, the first 200 mics, I probably sold all 200 abroad.
Okay.
Almost nobody bought it in India. But people buying abroad, some very famous names were buying them.
Okay.
Eminent ambisonic experts were buying Brahma, talking about it in.
Yeah, because I have seen a lot of discussion about that.
Yeah, so that is what helped it go. If I try to sell it by actually promoting it with I tried it with a couple of Indians. I know a few good sound recorders, but they're not going to try.
But back then, how you were also decoding the signal, because the software
That is the
not.
problem. See, that is where it took us a year or two for Angelo to come up with a solution that I could implement.
And how do you know him, Angelo?
Angelo I know because I was trying to record in Ranigumpa. Somebody asked me to do measurements in Ranigumpa. And of course I knew nothing about acoustic measurements. So I wrote a message in the acoustics use group saying I want some help, this is what I've been asked to do. And Angelo wrote back immediately saying you do this, you do this.
Oh, okay.
You do this sine sweep. Because those days he was selling Aurora for $500. And I said, no, I can't buy 500. He says, no, you don't need $500, here's the license. He's that kind of a man, you see. So he gave me, I still have that license.
Oh.
See, Aurora is one version which we use as a free version. There's another which is a paid version.
More features, maybe. It has more features?
No, it is the earlier one. That's all.
Oh, okay.
It's still available. But for instance, I have the license for using it. It's a 4-digit number actually. But he gave me the number and said, use this, it will work for your phone.
Okay.
So you needed the conversion even for ordinary measurements.
Because there is not, I mean, there's nothing available in India, this knowledge base. So how did you also get to know about the calibration?
That's what I'm saying. Angelo has students one student taught me. See, Angelo taught me what we need to do for calibration. I can show you his earlier papers. Earlier he had a system where.
So it was all by like writing letters and stuff?
Yeah, it's all. I met Angelo first time about 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
We never met before that.
Okay.
And he was very helpful always. And for instance, he sent me how to mount the ambisonic mic and the calibration mic, tape them together and do the 4 measurements. Because we didn't have any system for, and he developed a system for calibration using individual measurements. But then while I was doing it, he said, forget it, there is much simpler system, this MATLAB script will do it for you. And he didn't know MATLAB either, I didn't know MATLAB. He says, one of my students writes 2 lines and it does all the work. That's true, MATLAB is like that. It's so absurdly small, the scripts.
Oh, okay. Just you need
and
to know.
it does all the computation, and it's very it's so accurate. I still don't know.
When they wrote the Brahma Valver for you then?
Brahma Valver was written around the time I was making those 10 microphones. They developed a program called Brahma Valver to run those microphones, and gave me a copy.
Yeah. So it's in again 2000 something.
Yeah, a lot of things happened in that period. So those 10 microphones, about 8 or 9 of them are still there in European universities.
Okay.
No, various universities take them for field work.
Okay.
You can see those photographs of that mic. especially.
Did they look like same that we have?
No, no.
No, they look
because the first thing is an F2 which has got a silver colored body.
Okay.
And then there is a screw on top. The capsules sit 30 centimeters, 20 centimeters away. Because I made it basically for measurement. I didn't even plan to use it for sound.
Yeah, okay.
It is when I built Brahma, built in like this, then I found it, the sound quality is so good. It's not like the Zoom. Zoom doesn't sound very good, but this sounds very nice because of the calibration.
Yeah, that's the trick, I think, with the cheap, even with a cheap
the capsules
microphone
get as
capsule,
good as the earthworks.
Yeah.
They're getting matched.
Yeah.
So the sound quality gets matched. Even if you don't want to do ambisonic, it's a good quality microphone.
Yeah. How do you just as because you have been doing it for so long, how do you see the future of ambisonics right now?
It is getting more and more used. Which is, for me, always I am grateful that even Indian film sound recorders are using the.
They started using it.
I've been telling. Even when I was doing sound and I wanted to use ambisonic mics because I can get so much post, then they never saw the point of it.
So the last question that I have, okay, we were talking about this whole, this use of ambisonics, but because our students are, they are just getting to know about all this. I mean, do you want to say something to them, like anything?
No, basically, I mean, I would be very impolite and say ignore Dolby.
Ignore Dolby, yeah.
Yeah, because it's a distraction. No, and because they put a lot, like the Sennheiser microphone without calibration. Now everybody is making mics without calibration because Sennheiser is doing it.
I mean, you say the Ambio VR balloon?
Ambio doesn't have calibration.
No, they don't. Yeah.
And Angelo and I sat and calibrated it using the standard pro. How much difference there is? It gets so much better. But Sennheiser is not interested because they're selling it without doing it. Because it costs a lot of money to calibrate.
Yeah.
You need a team to do it, and they don't want to spend money.
No, even the Rode mic and all, also without
nobody is calibrating.
Yeah, nobody is calibrating. Yeah.
And the same problem with this virtual mic, the Dolby Atmos. Mm-hmm. It is not a great system, but it's a powerful system, and there are a lot of people supporting it. So you end up, anybody wants to learn about, they should learn ambisonics before they get into this. Yeah. Because they are not really learning about ambisonics. Exactly. They are learning about Dolby. Mm-hmm. That's what I keep saying. These things, they are actually distractions, and there's a lot of money. I don't have any objection to the money or the fact that it's this. Yeah. But people should learn what actually, anisotropic. No, Dolby has ignored the whole possibilities of. You see, the guy who developed ambisonics died in '77. Died very young, barely 40. Michael Jerson died of asthma. But he wrote the mathematics of it, mathematical papers. He wrote papers both in purely technical journals and in wireless world, promoting the system. And he and one other guy, with them, made the mic. But you don't want these things to be mentioned, you see. First thing is, the issue for people like Dolby is, Dolby wants to promote a system with a lot of mics and a lot of loudspeakers. These don't have. These are homemade, strung. You should see the photograph of the first ambisonic mic made by Jerson. They actually tied the capsules with strings to the rings. They got it working. But it is important. But you see, my problem is not that there is all these commercial systems, but people should learn what is the difference between the commercial systems and what is the technically correct system. Exactly. That's what I'm trying to make people understand. There is a good way of doing it. There is a commercially successful way of doing it. There is no harm in doing the other thing. You will make money.
No, I think that's very important what you said. I mean, knowing technically correct things is very important.
Yeah, they should learn. Because at least some of them will actually enjoy doing it.
Yeah. And there is, not more fun in the DIY stuff? I mean, you do
No, it's not even
also-
DIY, because you see, one of the things that it's not an American thing. This using ambisonics as a this thing is there's a lot of work done in European universities,
Yeah,
like Alto and places like that, and everything they do is free. That's what I'm saying. After second order, you don't even need calibration, because you can do it using software without actually measuring anything. And that's what you should do. My third order, that's what I'm going to use, because I'm not going to sit and invent a new, because the second order one won't work for third order. So, but Alto has a system for creating any, you take 16 capsules and do anything out of it. And they're all published. They're good explanations of how they work, and they're free. And there's not one set, there are 3 sets available. One is Alto, forget, one is a French one in Paris, and there's a third. All 3 have independently developed about 50-60 plugins. You can download all of them, and they work very well in this thing. What is that?
As VST plugins?
Huh?
As VST plugins?
They have VST plugins, but they work very well, particularly with what is that thing with the Reaper.
Reaper, the software.
They work very well in
yeah,
Reaper.
Yeah.
Reaper has multi-channels.
Yeah. Reaper is actually very good for this. Yeah.
I use Reaper for a lot of bulk work.
No, Reaper is quite good. Yeah. Very well written.
Audition, Audacity, Reaper. These are the 3 mics. Plus I have a few experimental stuff like which one is developed by these Australian guys called Audio Mulch, and there's another, this one is a Canadian, I think, and they're all very powerful and used. You see, the thing with Audio Mulch and programs like that is they allow you to put files as it's wires, what are called wires, and this thing you draw your line, you put a plug-in, you draw a line to your input source.
Rewiring.
Yeah, this is the original wiring. You wire everything up and experiment, and you can do all kinds of crazy things on it. They're there, and they're not free. The Audio Mulch is about $200. Not the most expensive thing in the world either.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much for doing this for us, and yeah, it's great.